I think that has reached has become an existential threat to the survival of the republic, because right now you look at it and you see that right from the counties, as you have said, up to the national level, nobody is being held accountable for the loss of money. You find, and when you look at wherever they try to be held accountable, there's loss of money on the expenditure side. There's very little accountability on the loss of money on the revenue side. Like if you look at anti-corruption, and I've asked them before, have you ever audited the budget for corruption? You find anti-corruption has never done anything like that. They're just engaged in running around after small things. The real theft is not done. You remember when the Eurobond thing happened in 2015 or thereabouts, the ASCC promised to do an audit and give us a report. To date, they have not done an audit, and the scam has risen from the 2 billion shillings then to now 2 billion USD dollars then to now $7 billion, and still no report from the ASCC. So you find that personally I've reached a place where I'm saying that we need to get to be faithful to the Constitution, restrain the EACC to dealing with matters of ethics, as the Constitution requires them to do, and get rid of these acts of parliament that give them the power to engage in crime, and put fighting crime squarely back to the police, so that you can now push the police with their functions. You find that the CID have got a whole department on economic crimes, starved of funds, and the money is given to EACC, which is, for all practical purposes, it's a civilian organization. So when you are headed by a retired bishop and by some accountant or something like that, how do you expect to be a crime-busting organization? They are not wired for that.
Intentionally?
Intentional, of course. Even the word anti-corruption is to mischaracterize theft by privileged people. Otherwise, you just be theft by servant and let the OCS deal with it, and the constable on the beat. But we are shielding people from the police by creating this thing called the EACC. And in the Constitution, I think it's Article 247, if you look at it, you find that Parliament is given power to create special police forces, but they must be under the command of the Inspector General. So if we want the EACC we wanted the EACC to play a role like that, I don't know how we would do it, because the EACC is supposed by Chapter 15 Commission. The EACC's mandate is defined in the Constitution to be one to enforce Chapter 6, which is a code of conduct, not a penal code. And under Article 247, Parliament should establish, if we need a special police force to deal with the theft of public assets, then Parliament should establish a special force and put under the IG, so that we can know that it's a crime-fighting entity. The EACC is a complete scam. Like you've mentioned, Busia. If you look at the EACC office in Bungoma, even the fellows in Busia, the criminals in Busia will tell you, go, rush to the EACC.
Because what?
They are their buddies. Even in the last, the former boss who was there at the Bungoma, at his best man at the wedding was one of the fellows who suspect of corruption in Busia. So how are you going to deal with this? So we have a lot of confusion. And if you go to Busia, the thefts that have happened is that you go to the homes of these people, they have put up palaces. So you look at their salaries and look at the palaces they have built in their homes, you cannot compare. A lot of primitive accumulation of property in Busia, in Kisumu, in Nairobi, and these properties are known. The salaries are known.
Sorry, Senator, who is acquiring these properties? Obviously illegal, like you're saying. And if they are known, why is nothing being done about it?
The other day we had some raids in Busia, a bit of them. I don't know how it's going to pan out. We hope that it will go the whole hog and people get prosecuted. But that's just a microcosm. If you look at the country as a whole, you'll find like the issues the Auditor General raises. be they theft through law firms, which is one of the major areas that government loses money, whereby lawyers collude with the civil servants, private lawyers collude with civil servants, and they loot a lot of money. And again, in Busia, I'll just say this, a taxing officer one time called me and said, look, you have a bill here of so much, which I was going to tax for very little money, but before I could tax, they have come in with what we call a consent at half the amount, which is millions of shillings. When I was going to tax this thing, not more than 100,000, the county is going to end up paying about 20-30 million shillings because of that collusion. So one of the major areas of theft from government has been law firms, colluding with the officials and stealing. The report of the Auditor General, you find there's something that is not very clear on those reports, which is clear, but people have chosen not to accept it, because you'll find that these reports are usually done under Article 229 of the Constitution, and are required to tell us whether public money has been used lawfully and effectively. Now, one of the problems with the reports of the Auditor General, they don't go up to that stage. They don't tell us whether the money has been used lawfully and effectively. They usually say that we are unable to determine whether the money was used lawfully or effectively, because we're not able to access this document or the other document or this other document. And yet you'll find that in the Auditor General's Act, they have the power to punish when they find no documents at the point of audit. They never seem to invoke that power. So the reports themselves are woolly, and so they may be difficult to act on. Then number two, Parliament or the County Assembly is required to look at the reports within 3 months and act on them. Now, some people have gone to court to argue, and some courts have accepted that means that the Auditor General's report is not complete, and therefore you cannot use an Auditor General's report to prosecute because Parliament has not acted on this. And you find like the National Assembly, I think, is about 4 years behind, 3-4 years behind in terms of the reports it has validated. So my own reading of Article 229 is that the Auditor General's report, if it is to tell us if money has been used effectively and lawfully, is conclusive and cannot be reopened, maybe unless the accused party goes to court and contests the report. So if we were to get to an agreement that the Auditor General's report is a final document and that it's actionable in court, then it would be very easy for civic, publicly spirited individuals to pick up an issue in the Auditor General's report and prosecute it. But you find that there has been some element of saying that the report is not conclusive until the Assembly, the National Assembly, and the County Assembly or Parliament has acted on them. And that has been one reason why action on the reports has not been effective. When I was in the Public Accounts Committee, before I moved to the other devolution, that was in the first half of the Parliament, of the tenure of the current Senate. By the time I was leaving, there were 148 reports sent to the EACC for action
from the
committee looking at the Auditor General's report. They say recommend action, so they have recommended to the EACC to take action. And for the 2 years I was there, none of the 148 had been acted on.
Why?
So maybe lack of capacity. I don't know, from the EACC. I don't know. That's another problem they have. Genuinely, they don't have the capacity to do what the police would have done, because the police is almost everywhere in this country. They've got the capacity. But that's it. That should tell us why you find that the reports of the Auditor General tend just to pass